In Dante, the sin of lust is punished by the soul as being buffeted about by strong winds. He describes this as follows, quote, "I came to a place where no light shone at all, bellowing like the sea racked by a tempest, when warring winds attack it from both sides. The infernal storm, eternal in its rage, sweeps and drives the spirits with its blast. It whirls them, lashing them with punishment." The meaning of this is that the people who cannot control their desires allow themselves to be dominated by them. These lustful feelings arise quickly and frequently and compel the person in one direction or another. These people do not control their desires with their rational faculty, and by allowing these desires free rein, they surrender control over their lives. This is mirrored in the punishment. They have no control and no ability to act according to their own will. They're buffeted about here and there by the winds and can do nothing about it. So, in this sense, the punishment is a kind of affirmation of their decision to live in accordance with their desires and not reason. These sinners, quote, "make reason slave to appetite." By allowing themselves to be dominated by lust, they surrender their rational judgment, which allows them to control their own lives. The punishment shows what the world would look like if people simply capitulated to every desire. It will be recalled that this was also a recurring motif in the Odyssey. During his long journey, Odysseus was confronted with many temptations that appealed to his physical desires. The seductive call of the goddesses Calypso and Circe, the narcotic effects of the lotus plants, and the irresistible songs of the sirens. In each of these cases, Odysseus must keep his desires under control and resist the tantalizing opportunities that they present. The idea is clearly that a fully human life is not just about the fulfillment of desire. This is what Jesus means when he says in Matthew, in the story of the temptation, man should not live on bread alone. For the Greeks, the fully human life is about having meaningful work and living together in a family, with friends and a community. But in order to be restored to this life that he's lost, Odysseus must first withstand the powerful pull of sensual temptation. Dante connects his poem with Virgil's Aeneid by placing Dido among the group of lustful sinners. It will be recalled that the Carthaginian queen fell in love with Aeneas and tried to persuade him to stay with her and thus discontinue his journey. Virgil portrays her repeatedly with images of burning and fire, which is clearly a metaphor for her sexual desire. This is a fitting image since fire is a volatile element that is difficult to control and profoundly destructive. Both she and Aeneas are described as, quote, "slaves of lust." Dido's desire leads her to a state of madness whereby she completely loses control of herself and her affairs. No longer caring about her duties or reputation, she becomes dominated by the passion. She becomes like the lotus eaters or the victims of the sirens. By placing Dido here among the sinners of lust, Dante implies that in this case, this sin is greater than that of suicide, of which she's also guilty. It should be noted that while there is a criticism of lust in the Aeneid, the focus is slightly different from what we see in the Christian view. Dido's moral shortcoming is that she does not keep her desires in check and thus loses control of herself to the detriment of herself and her people. But there's no criticism of the desires themselves. They arise naturally and only become a problem when they become so intense that they can't be controlled. Indeed, Dido's sister Anna even encourages her to pursue her feelings for Aeneas. So we might say that the critique in the Aeneid is a consequentialist one. Excessive lust is not bad in itself, but it can lead to bad things when it's allowed free rein. By contrast, for the Christian view, lust is in itself something sinful, even if it doesn't lead to any negative outward results. Just the lustful thought or desire alone is regarded as morally wrong, even if it is never acted on. While the pilgrim Dante shows pity and a degree of sympathy for these sinners, since they too once loved, nonetheless he condemns sexual lust. Christian love, or love of God, which is called agape, is clearly something different from mere sexual desire or eros. During the medieval period, the new idea of courtly love arises. Although there's an element of sexual attraction involved in this ideal, this conception of love is considered pure and in accordance with Christianity. In any case, Dante's portrayal of the sinners guilty of lust can be regarded as the tip of the iceberg of a very large topic regarding the changes in values and intuitions regarding sexual ethics that arose in the Christian period.